Okay, so let me turn off the music. I've got the live stream going. Make sure that it's working. And real quick, happy Star Wars Day, and I make sure I wear my Spaceballs hockey jersey just to hopefully make it for you here. It looks like Ken is having a problem. Let me send him the updated link. Stand by. We got a couple of minutes here, so I'm scrambling. Everything was all set to go, and then as soon as I get down here and get ready to go live, my stream messed up. Dang it. Copy link. Alright, so hopefully Ken can get that. Alright, so tonight we're going to be talking about the tornado outbreak from 2011. April 27th of 2011 was the big day out of a 4-day outbreak. 300 people were killed in Alabama, I believe. I think I've got all the stats on that. We will be talking about that as well. So stick around with us, and we've got all the stats on that. 319 were killed on that one particular day, and we lost about 34 here in the Morristown County warning area. So stand by for that. We will talk about that, and hopefully get some feedback on that. Ken, are you with us? I don't know if the chat's working. I've got to pull it up, so let me make sure that's going. So I can pay attention. All right. Okay, we got a people. 5x5 from Eagle 621. Hey, Greg, it's KQ4WIC. Hello, Chris. I've been getting your messages. Thank you, sir. And all right, we are going to go to the slideshow, and we're going to start the net. So everyone, stand by. Attention all stations. Attention all stations. This is Greg, K4HSM, assuming net control as WX4TYS in Knoxville for the East Tennessee SKYWARN training net on the 146.940 WB4 GBI repeater. All traffic will be handled via net control. This net is open to anyone and everyone. Tonight's net will consist of announcements and a brief training segment. We will take check-ins throughout the net. Do I have any District 5 SKYWARN coordinators or net controls on frequency? If so, please call now. This is WX4TYS.
WX with an announcement. November 2, Alpha Lima, good evening.
All right, Josh, are you doing the logging?
That's Roger.
All right, appreciate it. Got you in there, Andrew, N2AL. Josh, go ahead with your announcement.
Good evening, everybody. A4WX here. Hope everybody's doing well. We were able to attend a SKYWARN class at the Roars Fest. That's the Raleigh, North Carolina Ham Fest. And it is recorded, at least a good portion of it is recorded, and on my YouTube channel, Ham Shack TV. So if anybody's curious of how they do things outside of MRX
right, thank you much. Andrew, did you say you did or did not have an announcement?
Good evening, Greg. Only announcement that I have is at the Smoky Mountain Amateur Radio Club. We're going to be hosting Field Day, and we're looking forward to it. It's got a new location. It's you can find all the information and all the pillows, as they say, at w4olb.org. We're looking forward to having a great time. But yeah, check out w4olb.org, and you can
This
find
for you, Sean, Eric.
all of our Field Day information on there. Also, check out our Groups.io page where we have the most up-to-date information. And aside from that, that's the only announcement that I have, and I want to say good evening, everybody. And I'll pass it back to you. This is N2AL.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Any other District 5 coordinators wish to check in? WX42IS. All right, nothing heard. Any other SKYWARN coordinators, liaison stations on frequency? They can check in. Let us know if they got an announcement. WX42IS. Usually get Bart in there. Wonder if he's in there. All is quiet. All right, nothing heard. Any other stations with announcements? We'll take your announcement at this time. WX42IS. Allergies. All right, nothing heard. I'll have a couple of announcements here in just a few minutes. Myself, we'll be talking about the Weather 101 stuff. As far as SKYWARN spotter training goes, there was a couple of classes that were scheduled. I think there was one for Union County, but it looks like either it was canceled or they already had it. Because I'm looking at the SKYWARN class schedule right now, and there is nothing listed. So, no classes currently for in-person spotter classes being offered by the Morristown National Weather Service. However, if you want to take spotter training, they do offer, the Morristown Weather Service does offer virtual SKYWARN spotter training. It's done online. It can be done at your own pace. It takes about an hour to do, and then there's a 10-question quiz at the end of it. You take that and you get a SKYWARN spotter number that can be issued to you. They'll do it electronically. They don't do paper anymore. So if you're interested in that, you can go to the weather.gov/MRX/SKYWARN_classes. Weather.gov/MRX/SKYWARN_classes. So if you need a fill on that, you can let me know. With that, get that out of the way. We'll start taking check-ins at this time. When you do check in, please use your call sign phonetically. Using international phonetics are preferred. Followed by your name and location, and we'll do check-ins one at a time. So, also, if you happen to be unable to check in and you're listening to us, or you want to watch on, we do have a live stream. I posted a link to the live stream earlier, but the live stream software I'm using kind of goofed on me, so I had to post an updated link on our Facebook page. So if you go to the most recent post on Facebook, you should see the link for the live stream on YouTube. So with that, we'll start taking check-ins again, one at a time. Call sign followed by your name and location. WX4TY, standing by.
Net Control. Kilo Oscar 4, Juliet Charlie Lima. Kilo Oscar 4, Juliet Charlie Lima. Jeff in Napa County.
Got you in there, Jeff. KO4JCL in Knox County. Thank you, sir. Next check-in.
Net Control. It's a Kilo Quebec 4 Whiskey Yankee Charlie. Kilo Quebec 4 Whiskey Yankee Charlie. Chris, South Claiborne County.
All right, Chris, got you in Claiborne, and got you on the live stream, too, so thank you, sir. Next check-in. We're on 146.940.
Net Control. This is KO4 BJC. Kilo Oscar
Got you in there, Roger. Kilo Oscar 4 Victor Juliet Charlie. Is that correct? Is that QSL?
Yes, sir.
All right, got you in there. Thank you, sir. Next check-in. Where's Ken at?
Tank control, please check in. Kilo Golf 4, Quebec Whiskey India, KG4, QWI, Brandon, here in Knoxville. Sorry, I'm late. WB4GBI, repeater.
Barn door. Autocorrect. Got you in there, barn door, KG4QWI. Got you in there. Appreciate you checking in today. Next check-in.
At control, please check in. Kilo Quebec 4 Foxtrot Tango from out of town.
All right, Kilo Quebec 4 Fox Tango from out of town. Where are you at currently, and where are you from originally?
Well, currently I am in the KOA campground in Pigeon Forge, and I am from Bessemer City, North Carolina.
Oh, thanks for coming in from North Carolina. What's your name again?
It's Alan, Alpha Lima, Alpha November.
Thank you, Alan. Welcome to the area. Hope you enjoy your stay here. Usually we do, if there's any severe weather, we do them on this repeater. You're probably within line of sight to the repeater visually, if there aren't too many trees in your way. But when you get up to where 411 and 441 intersect, the repeater's up on a mountaintop just to the west there. It's on Green Top Mountain, I believe. There's several names for it, but Green Top's one of them there. So good to have you, and thanks for checking in tonight. Next check-in.
Kilo Quebec 4 Delta India Juliet.
There he is. There's Ken.
Florida DIJ down in the jungle. This Ken. We got you up there now, Greg, on the computer. Thanks again.
Yep, gotcha, Ken. Sucks you're leaving, but all right, Ken, got you in there from Boyd's Creek, and at least for now. So thanks for checking in with us, Ken, and talk to you soon. Next check-in, please.
Net control. Kilo Romeo 4 Alpha X-Ray Echo.
Axeman.
Kilo Romeo 4 Alpha X-Ray Echo. Joe in Sevierville.
Thank you, Joe. KR4AXC and Sevierville checked in. Thank you, sir. Next check-in.
Kilo Oscar 4 Whiskey India Yankee. Kilo Oscar 4 Whiskey India Yankee. Steve Dandridge White Pine.
That's Josh working it as well. We're doing it through Google Sheets. Steve and Dandridge White Pine, KO4WIY. Thank you, sir. Got you in there. Appreciate it. Good to hear you tonight. Next check-in, please. Good crowd so far.
Net control. Net control, please check in Whiskey 8, Bravo Romeo Delta, W8BRD, Bill over here, New Market.
Everybody hear me? Is my microphone working?
Good evening.
Let me know in the chat. I heard somebody say 5x5, but was that before or after I switched over? Okay, Bill in New Market, got you in there. W8BRD. And the metropolis of New Market, as a friend of mine used to say that used to live there. Thank you much. Next check-in, please. Dramatic pause. All right, nothing heard. We'll take a pause now from the check-ins, and we'll discuss some of the weather classes coming up. These are not spotter training classes, but if you're a weather geek, you can certainly learn from it, and they're kind of like segments of advanced spotter classes that have been offered in the past. So definitely something worth checking into. It's called Weather 101. It's offered by the Nashville Weather Service out there in Old Hickory. It's called Weather 101. They're free interactive classes that help the public learn about meteorology, forecasting, and the National Weather Service in general. So the only requirement is that you need speakers to listen, and I would assume a computer or a smartphone. They're offered through GoToMeeting, so you would need that. Usually what they will do is they will install a free plugin on your browser to use during the meeting. I think it removes itself when the meeting's over. But we got about 3 more weeks of classes in the Weather 101. There's classes tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The first one is going to be at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. So that'll be 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, and it's about fire weather. We are in a bit of a fire season right now with a lot of high winds coming through. A lot of brush fires have been going on. My daughter, she works for the Forestry Service down in Tellico Plains doing some interning, and has been actively dealing with brush fires all around the Cherahela area of the Cherokee National Forest. So definitely use caution if you're burning brush or any wood. Even a campfire can get out of control if not managed properly. So they got that for fire weather tomorrow at 7 o'clock Central. Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. it'll be the basics. Basically, kind of an abbreviated spotter training class. So that might be of interest to you. And on Wednesday, they're going to talk about the radar, how they use radar to forecast and spot the weather. So those are classes coming up this week. Next week, they're going to do some, they're going to have almost a full week of classes. They'll be on upper air soundings, how they take upper air soundings to forecast the weather. Then they talk about QLCS, quasi-linear convective systems. That should be of interest. That's a morning class. A new one, using AI in the Storm Prediction Center's convective outlooks. That seems to be a new segment. They'll have some on the radar and satellites, 3D observations, forecast models. Those are all classes that are still to come. So again, they are available for free. Take them on your computer or on your smartphone, and be sure to register. Now, you can go to weather.gov/OHX, that's Oscar Hotel X-Ray, /Weather 101, and you can take those classes for free. They're available from the Nashville office in Middle Tennessee. And do participate. They are very informative classes. Are there any questions or fills? Anything on this? WX4TY is standing by. Thank you, Chris. All right, nothing heard? We'll take another round of check-ins before we get to the discussion. I'm going to discuss the outbreak of 2011 here momentarily. But just wanted to stand by if there was any additional check-ins that have popped in while we were talking. WX4TYS.
KQ4ZMX, Kilo Quebec 4, Zulu Mike X-Ray, Craig in South Knox County.
Okay, Craig, got you in there in South Knox County. KQ4 Zulu Mike X-Ray. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you checking in tonight. Any others? All right, nothing heard. I do have another announcement. This one is a little tough for me. About 3 weeks ago, we lost one of our own. Mike Walker, KQ4, November, Papa Victor. Sadly was killed in a car accident. I was out of town that week, and I found out that he was, unfortunately, he lost his life in a car accident. Apparently, it was on Clinton Highway, a truck carrying a trailer of items apparently lost control and hit him head on. It was instant. His wife was in the passenger seat. She was uninjured. So, unfortunately, he was only licensed for about a year, but he was very active. I saw him at several hamfests. Always supportive of us and of SKYWARN. Very fascinated with the weather. Very eager to learn about ham radio. And he was taken from us too soon. He was older than me. I think it was 70, 72. I can't remember his exact age right off the top. But sadly, he is no longer with us. So if you don't mind, everyone, I'd like to take a moment to remember him and just have a brief moment of silence. Thank you. All right, thank you very much.
WB4GBI repeater.
And onward we go. Tonight we're going to do another discussion of this one's going to be about the super outbreak of 2011. We didn't get it as bad as they did in Alabama, but we did get hit pretty hard on that day. Now that day, it was on, I believe it was I want to say it was a Tuesday or Thursday. I can't remember the exact day, but it was part of a 4-day outbreak that pretty much started in Texas and ended up into the upper Ohio Valley, Ohio, West Virginia, Virginia area, and very costly. Over 10.4 billion in 2011, adjusted to about 14 billion in damages in today's dollars, or at least as of last year. It was the peak period. The 27th was the peak of it, but it went from the 25th through the 28th. 2,700 injuries, including 467 here in East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, and far west North Carolina. 34 lives were lost here in the Morristown County warning area out of 319 total. On that day, we had 4 EF4 tornadoes 4 EF5 tornadoes that were reported. None of them here in Tennessee, none of them in the Morristown area that they cover. I think most of them were in Alabama. There were 11 EF4s that were recorded. 3 of them were here in East Tennessee. 19 EF3s, 3 of them here in East Tennessee. I say East Tennessee, I mean the Morristown County warning area, and I'll expand on that here momentarily. There were 34 EF2s, 8 of them here in Morristown's area. 77 EF1s, including 20 in Morristown area. 54 EF0s, 21 of which were here. Now, I seem to recall that day there was at least one of them that hit in the Chattanooga area. The Chattanooga area got hit the hardest of the 3 major metropolitan areas, Chattanooga, Knoxville, the Tri-Cities. Chattanooga got the most tornadoes out of that whole bunch. If I'm not mistaken, and somebody can correct me on this, there was a station, I was actually monitoring a repeater down there, the 718 repeater. There was a ham who was actually hit by a tornado directly. And they were reporting it back to the net controls there at the during that net. And no injuries to him or to his family, but I think it took out their shed and did some partial damage to his house. So I wanted to focus on a few of the big tornadoes. Now, the National Weather Service did a presentation on this. They had an online, kind of like a PowerPoint that they did for this. They did this back in, I think, 2021 on the 10th anniversary. So I'm grabbing some of this information off of them directly. But there were several tornadoes that they focused on. The 3 EF4s, there was one called the New Harmony tornado. And that was down in Chattanooga. It was just to the west of Dayton. It started south of Dunlap and kind of traveled up in a northeast direction, ending around Spring City. It had a path of about 40 miles, just a little over 40 miles. Went through Sequatchie, Bledsoe, and Ray counties. At its maximum width, it was 880 yards wide. That's 8 football fields, almost 9 football fields in width. And the maximum winds recorded were 190 miles an hour. It damaged 21 homes and 12 injuries, and there were 4 fatalities from that tornado. Another one that was not as damaging, but or not as strong, but it did a lot of damage. It was an EF1 tornado called the Ooltewah to Cleveland tornado, and it touched down around 2 o'clock in the afternoon that day with a 17-mile long path and 120-yard width at its maximum. Had 90 miles an hour winds. It had a fatality as a result of that particular tornado. And even though it was an EF1, it did a lot of damage down there. Because it kind of went through a very populated area. One of the bigger ones was the Ringgold to Apison tornado. Apison, I'm sorry if I'm botching that name. That was an EF4. It started down in Georgia. The Peachtree City Weather Service had that one initially. Then it drifted into Tennessee and became Morristown's jurisdiction. It touched down at 7:27 p.m. and then tracked into Tennessee from Ringgold. By the time the tornado dissipated just southwest of McMinn County's airport, it had covered 37 miles, just a little over 37 miles, had an 800-yard width and maximum wind speeds of 190 miles an hour. Damage to 150 homes, 300 injuries, and 12 fatalities, making it the deadliest tornado that occurred in East Tennessee during the super outbreak. I believe that's the one where the ham operator down there in that area was... I believe he was in the Dayton area, and he was in Cleveland. Actually, he was directly hit by that one. And Cleveland was getting picked on that day. There was a third tornado. This one was an EF2. It was the Cleveland to Etowah tornado, and it downed many trees and damaged homes. It touched down about 5:30 that afternoon, going into 3 different counties with a 28-mile path length and a width of about 250 yards at its maximum. 4 deaths occurred from that tornado. One that doesn't get talked about was the Chilhowie EF4. That was in our area. It was an EF4 that went about 14 and a half miles with 170 mile an hour winds. No fatalities because this particular tornado went through mostly rural areas around the Cherokee National Forest and Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And I believe the tail of the dragon, that area down there was where it more or less got started. And there was a transmission tower from TVA, a power transmission tower, that was out in the middle of the water. It got mangled by the tornado. So it did do some serious damage to the power lines down there, but fortunately that was the worst of it. Now, the second deadliest tornado of the day occurred northeast of us here from Knoxville, but it was near Greenville, east of Greenville. It's called the Camp Creek tornado. Had 6 fatalities and 33 injuries. Damage from this tornado included the destruction of 40 homes, 35 mobile homes, 60 structures on farms, and a public building. It was an EF3 that touched down around 9:51 that night. It went almost 16 miles with a maximum speed of 150 miles an hour. Now, that tornado from Camp Creek had earlier been spawned from the Ringgold Apison EF4. So that particular cell lifted up, traveled through East Tennessee, and then recycled and touched down in the Greene County area, they called it the Camp Creek tornado. And about 100 minutes later, there was another tornado in the same area called the Horse Creek tornado, and it was an EF3. And most of this area that had already seen that one tornado about an hour and a half earlier was now subject to yet another one. Maximum winds were 160 miles an hour. The tornado destroyed an additional 15 homes, 10 mobile homes, and 25 farm structures. It went about 13 and a half miles, just a little over it, and resulted in 70 injuries and 2 additional fatalities. All right, thank you, Josh. Just saw your messages there. Also, finally,
WB4GBI repeater.
we have the Glade Spring tornado. This tornado formed 1 minute after midnight, officially on the 28th. It was the final tornado that happened in the Morristown forecast area, and it was a big one. It was just west of Abingdon, Virginia, east of Abingdon, Virginia. I see the city, and then I see the track, and then I just instantly think it's west. It was the track was east of Abingdon, Virginia. Had winds of 140 miles an hour and a path length of just under 17 miles. Amazingly, the maximum width of this tornado was over a kilometer, about 1,320 yards wide at its maximum length. Extensive damage occurred to many residences and buildings. Many trucks were flipped over as this tornado crossed I-81 at exit 50 in Glade Springs. And one of those fatalities was an indirect cause where there was traffic stopped on the interstate and a woman who was in a car slammed into the back of a tractor trailer. So she was, I think she was considered an indirect fatality from that specific tornado event. There are several resources that you can check on this. For the presentation that I kind of used for this here tonight, I created a bit.ly link. It's bit.ly. If you go to 2011 Outbreak with a capital O for Outbreak, all one word, 2011 Outbreak, you can see that presentation, and it will pop up with a lot more information. I'll have to find it.
That's fine.
Are there any comments so far? I've got some more information, but are there any comments so far? And we'll open it up for discussion. WX4TYS.
A4WX.
N2AL comment.
All right. Sorry, I had to look for something real quick. I'm sorry. Who was first? Was it you, Josh?
It was. I just want to note that while this event was quite a scary event, forecast and be prepared for the unexpected. We, like I said, don't see this very often, but you never know when the next one might show up. Back to you, Greg. AA4WS.
Yeah, it definitely was a generational event. It kind of reminded me back in the early 90s, mid to early 90s, there was a super outbreak. One tornado went through downtown Nashville, came through East Tennessee, and did a lot of damage here. There was that was a pretty big outbreak as well. Andrew, I saw your message earlier on my phone. You were on shift that day, correct?
Yeah, I was on shift that day. I was living in Chattanooga, living in Harrison, just north of town on Highway 58. And I was on shift in dispatch, and we knew the weather was going to be bad, and we knew that Alabama was getting hit hard. It was coming our way. And this was me being pre-ham operator. This is actually one of the reasons I got my ham license. But whenever the tornadoes hit, our Highway Patrol headquarters was in Lookout Valley, and I remember looking out the window, and you could see the tornado, and it was south of the interstate. It was south of I-24, and it tore apart Lookout Valley. Thankfully, it missed us, and I don't know if it was the ridges that was around the building, but it was about a half mile from us at the closest. But it tore apart, all Lookout Valley, and then of course Chattanooga, up in Sequatchie, and into Cleveland. We had field personnel that lost their homes. The most important thing that I remembered was that for us, thankfully, we're on the old low band system, so we still had communications. But Sequatchie County, Bradley County, they had interruptions in their communications. They had to use ham radio operators to be able to communicate. But in addition to all of that, just the substantial damage, it was nothing that we'd ever seen before. And kind of like what Josh said, it was generational. Everyone I talked to, they'd never worked through something like that. Just in addition to the deaths, just the damages, just digging through rubble for days, just looking for people. It was for us. It was a district-wide event. It was from Sequatchie County. We had crews everywhere. With 4 men from throughout the different parts of the state. Throughout the different parts of the state, too, like Sequatchie County, Bradley County, and then up into McMinn and down into Hamilton. It was just something I'd never seen before, and hopefully that we don't ever see again. But it really tested the resources of East Tennessee, I guess you could say.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Andrew. And yeah, I mean, ham radio really shined that day. Not just here. I'm not talking about us specifically. I'm just saying, in general, down in Alabama. Wasn't that the one that came? There was an EF4 that came close to the Bryant-Denny Stadium down there where the Crimson Tide play.
It was Tuscaloosa. Yep, sure enough, AA4WX.
Yeah, they've written books about it, ladies and gentlemen. I'll open it up for comments further here in just a second, but one in particular was written by meteorologist James Spann. Alabama was the hardest hit that day. They got the brunt. About 250 people plus lost their lives that day in Alabama alone. And so it really affected a lot of people. And James Spann, he's the meteorologist that we talk about from time to time here. He's the one that's down there in Birmingham. He works for one of the big stations down there, and he's the one where if you see him with his jacket off and his suspenders pulled up, be mindful. It's going to be a pretty severe weather day. And he's done talks about it. He's done presentations all over. He appeared at the Rocket City Weather Fest that Josh and I attended a couple of years back. It was the same day that Chinese balloon went overhead of the United States and got shot down over Myrtle Beach. That's another story. But that day, they did a weather fest down there at the University of Alabama in Huntsville, where they have a very big and very active meteorology department. And he wrote he wrote a book called "All You Can Do Is Pray," and he was there signing autographs, and he did a very in-depth discussion about that day. Not just then, but also back this past February, March time frame. I can't remember the exact date. But they had another weather fest there, and it was a little toned down this year from what they had a couple of years back. But he was there, did another presentation about it. He said there of the 252 people that lost their lives that day, he remembers every single one of them. He knows almost every single one of their names and every single one of their stories. So he wrote a book about it. He focused on the stories that you didn't hear. You heard a lot of bad stories that day, tragic stories, but you didn't hear every story, and he tried to focus on some of the ones that you didn't hear. It's a very powerful book. I'm not trying to sell it on anybody. I'm just saying if you want some more reading material, they do have a website. And I went to that website. It's slow as crazy. I think they've got that site running on a Commodore 64. But it's if you go to jamesspanbook.com, it's 2 N's, jamesspan with 2 N's book.com. You can go there. It's done by Crest Publishers, and you can pick up that book there. I don't know. It may be on Amazon too. You might be able to pick it up that way. But that's if you're interested. And it's again, it was a good shining moment for ham radio, as it is many a times when and that's when ham radio really counts, is when you have disasters that come from in any form. But the most common disaster that you're going to see in this area is weather related. Tornadoes, flooding, like what we had with Helene last October. You have a wide range of weather related disasters that can affect entire communities, entire towns, or like on April 27th of 2011, entire states. And that's where we come in.
WB4GBI repeater.
WX4TYS. And it's going to be even more crucial now in the next, at least over the next year, as there's been some cutbacks at the Weather Service. They've had to cut staff. Some staff have left, and they're just not filling those positions in at this time. So there is some shorthanded Weather Service offices. They've already got some contingencies in place to handle the lesser manpower that they have on site. So we need to be that extra resource for them, and that's where we encourage everyone out there to take the spotter training. It's not a requirement to participate in any of our nets, but it is a very useful, valuable tool to have, so that you know what you're looking at when and I've preached this time and again on these nets, but it bears repeating that it helps you to help us to help them. So we do encourage the spotter training. We encourage you to participate in the nets, and we look for these reports to help us out. And so if you haven't taken spotter training, or you haven't taken it in a while, do definitely consider doing it again. And those Weather 101 classes from Nashville, they're nice to haves, and they can be very useful. And like the one on radar, it'll definitely help you to see what's on the radar if you have a radar app, and you can know if it's coming your way, know what exactly it is that's coming your way. Any other comments about that super outbreak, or any others that have occurred over the years? Call now. WX4TY standing by. Okay, nothing heard. We did have a weather net a couple of days ago. Back on I think it was Friday, maybe been Thursday or Friday, one of those 2 days. These last 96 hours have kind of run together for me for a variety of reasons. But I did want to talk about this, maybe just open it up for discussion, see if anybody had any ideas. But we had one point, we had a check-in down in, it was on May the 2nd, so I do have it on the log. So we had a check-in that was down in Monroe County, KQ4, and it was a question mark. He had a very noisy signal. He had no cell phone coverage. I think he was on an HT, and sometimes he was good into the repeater but noisy. Other times he was not. He's down in an area that is notorious for bad cell phone coverage and poor signals. I should know personally because my daughter works down there for the Department of Forestry, and they are in a literal dead zone. They have to use Starlink for their internet service. They're in a hole pretty much. And I don't know where this guy was specifically, but he was in that same area. I gathered that, and he didn't have access to any other repeaters. And I've gone down to this site myself, especially where my daughter works, and I have tried to hit as many different repeaters that as I know exist in that general vicinity, and the closest one I could hit was the 7180, which is down there in Oswald Mountain, near the Chattanooga area. But other than that repeater, I have no other repeaters that we could hit. And I was wondering if anyone is down or is familiar with Monroe County, might have an idea of what other repeaters to try, what other solutions, because the reason I bring it up is because the Weather Service was looking for flood reports from Monroe County, and he was our only station down there. And from what I gathered, he was saying that he didn't have very, very much flooding, but then a couple of hours later, there was some flood warnings being issued because of flooding down in that general vicinity. So I wanted to see if there was any kind of ideas as to how to improve coverage in that region for ham radio. I'm probably not going to get anything from cell phone, but I didn't know if anybody had any other ideas, any repeaters to try, any other communications tactics, anything that might come to mind. WX4TYS.
AA4WX.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, as you mentioned, 718 is a good option. 525, the 24YJ Steve Fred's machine, I know that covers the north side of the county pretty decently. Steve claims that it covers Monroe County like a blanket. I don't know if that's confirmed or not. We'll just say that. The other thought that I might have would be the 6625.
Zyrtec.
Of course, it's up here in Blount County, but it might have a little bit of coverage over towards the forest. Have you tried it, Greg?
Sorry, which one was that?
Well, Steve Fritz is 14525. That's the first thought.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the second thought would be our backup 146.625.
Yeah, he could not hit the 625. We tried that, and I did not try Steve's repeater. But I thought it was down or it was on reduced power. I may have gotten some false information on that, or I may be confusing it with another repeater. I know there was another repeater that had bad coverage in that was in that general vicinity around Tellico Plains. I don't think it was Steve's repeater. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think it was a different one.
Well, another thought would be the 145.270, our old friend Jason's old machine. His is on the same site, though, I believe, as the 6625, so I don't know if it would be any better or not.
Yeah, wasn't it? I think didn't they have it linked to 525 at some point?
At some point, I don't think that link's active anymore. I could be wrong.
Okay, I'll look into it, see if we can try and improve the coverage down there. Like I said, my daughter works down there, and she's a ham operator, and we try to communicate several times when she's down there, just to check on one another when she's not out in the field. So I will definitely look into that. I think I did try the 525 when I was down there, but I was just on an HT. I didn't have a mobile. So, but it is something to consider. Any other comments or suggestions? WX4TY is standing by.
KQ4QCJ.
Okay, I copy QCJ. Was there another station? Oh my God. Forgot about this, folks. I hope y'all could hear it. I hope you could hear the net. I didn't have the microphone down here. And by the way, Eric. Okay, there wasn't another station there. QCJ, go ahead.
KQ4QCJ, Caleb, down here in Tellico Plains, and yeah, it's kind of an RF sucking hole down here. The 525 has actually recently been acquired by KQ4HOM, so it's no longer Steve's repeater. It does fairly well down this direction on a base or a mobile. Handheld is spotty at best, just because it's on the other end of the county. The 718 down at Oswald, that one I can get into it with a handheld from Tellico. From most places, a little bit of static, but it works fairly well. Wait. The 270 and the 625, you can work those from a mobile or a base from most places with no issue as well. But as far as handheld coverage, it's unless you're on a good high peak somewhere with good line of sight, it's pretty much the 7.18 for main coverage. You may be able to work the 345, one of Kevin's linked machines over in Crossville, and of course this one I can open this one on a handheld with a stock rubber duck in the house, but the modulation isn't there. But you know, we are also looking into different ways that we can also improve coverage down here on the Erie side, and SKYWARN for Monroe. Our SKYWARN's on 147.315. The tone on that one's 141.3. But yeah, we are looking into different options for improving coverage on things like that. But like you said, it's pretty well dead zone in quite a few places. KQ4QCJ.
All right, Caleb, thanks for that. And real quick, 525, what's the call on that one out? KQ4HOM, is that right?
WB4GBI repeater.
That would be correct. KQ4HOM. About a month ago or so is when that one changed hands. It should all be reflected. The one thing to note on that is it should be updated in a repeater book, but there is a tone of 100 on the input and the output. So it's no longer just open on the input. You have to have that 100 hertz tone. KQ4QCJ.
All right, thank you, Caleb. I appreciate you letting us know that. You know, I think it was a couple of weeks ago when I was doing some troubleshooting with my daughter's setup, and I was on that repeater, and I remember keying it up, and my Morse code is rusty, but I just seem to recall that it didn't sound like W4YJ, like it kept going on, and then so I figured it had a new call sign, but I didn't know that he had turned it over to somebody, so that's that's unfortunate. Very good repeater, and I liked it when it was linked into the 527. I would use it from time to time. Do you know if there's any plans to link it or to establish another relay or rather another link setup like previous?
Not sure if there will be a link back to the 2.7 or any other repeaters on that one. It is a system fusion machine, so it may have AMS turned on, so you can work it both ways. And I do believe I heard mention that the infrastructure for Echolink is there if the decision is made to hook Echolink up. So there's some IRLP options that may be discussed in the future.
Okay, great. Thanks for letting us know. Is it a club repeater or is it just somebody's personal repeater?
It's just a personal repeater. The Monroe Amateur Radio Club does utilize that for their weekly nets, but it's not a club repeater.
Okay, thanks. Do you have information on their net? I'm trying to keep a list of nets going, and I'm not familiar with one on 525.
Yeah, no problem. That one is on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Like you said, on 145 250. Tone of 100 on both sides, and typically we have anywhere from around 10 to 15 check-ins on that one. And our Monroe County Aries net is on Wednesdays at 8 p.m., and it's the 147.315, 141.3 is the tone on that one.
All right. Well, thanks again, Caleb. I appreciate it, and appreciate you giving us that information. Definitely. If we can get better coverage down in that area, I mean that's been a concern from some folks down there in Monroe County about, part of it was not getting good representation during SKYWARN. As they're part of a different district, and we've been working through that. But this also is going to help where we have adequate coverage to that area so that they can check into the nets, either ours or someone else's, or at least relay information to us in a manner. And like I said, that was one of the frustrating things I had from the net the other night, was that I couldn't hear this guy, and I just had no idea what repeater to try. But in the future I'll try 525, and hopefully we'll see some better coverage in the near future.
Sounds good. And if you give me just a second to flip through and grab this other frequency real quick, so I don't misquote the incorrect one, but I'll give you the information for McMinn County as well. Wait. Alrighty, I got it here. McMinn County, they run 146.82. It's located on Star Mountain. It's just a little bit west of Tellico here, kind of between Tellico and Etowah. And the tone on that one is a DCS tone of 143 on encode and decode. And the last time they had to move over to their secondary on that one, they went over to a 440 machine that is also co-located with that one, and it is the 441-800, 141.3 is the tone on that one.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Caleb. I appreciate the that is definitely useful information stuff. I'm going to put. I do have, I think, the 682. I think I've checked into the Star Net or Star. I think it's a different one actually. I have keyed up that Star Mountain repeater with the DCS. I have it programmed in on one of my radios, so I know I can hit it. So that is definitely something to try if we need to. But I'll try the 441 repeater at some point and see how well I can get into that machine. Thanks a lot, Caleb. I appreciate it. Anything else to add?
Other than that, I think that's about it. I came into the net just a little bit late. I lost track of time, but so far so good.
That was my daughter and my wife, by the way.
Super outbreak.
She's the one that's firefighting.
Well, they found male and other items from South Alabama laying in the roadways just west of town here after that storm front went through. And I can't remember what road it was, but there's a back road between Tellico and Madisonville, and there was actually the majority of a fully intact roof that was laying in the middle of the road. To this day, I don't think anybody's ever figured out where that roof came from, but different note, the one storm that really stands out in my mind was almost a year after that, the March 2nd, 2012 tornado started right around Tellico and ended just before making across the mountain to Chilhowie Lake. I think it was a EF2, but yeah, we were at work that day and had to take saws and saw team and go cut open a road because the local mail carrier in the mountains got trapped by a whole bunch of trees that fell. And out of this half-mile stretch of trees that fell down on the road, the only clear spot was where her mail chief was sitting. KQ4QCJ.
Yeah, sometimes there's something supernatural about how some people can escape injury and or even worse. But yeah, I do remember the story. I mean you'll hear about that where debris from or personal mementos like photographs and I've seen that with the most recent outbreak that we had down in Alabama. I think it was about a month ago. There was somebody posting on Facebook a photograph from somewhere in Tennessee that it was a photograph of somebody, but it was believed to be from a tornado that hit either in Alabama or Mississippi. So they were trying to find the owners of that particular photograph. So yeah, you hear about those all the time. It's incredible what these winds can do. So definitely appreciate the comment on that. Anyone else on anything that we've talked about? We'll take some check-ins here in a second. Any other additional comments or questions? WX4TOS. All right, we'll take a last call for check-ins, and then we'll call it a night. If you want to check in, let us know you're listening. You can do so. You don't have to be a member. It's not a membership thing or anything like that. Just have to be a ham. And take a call. Take them one at a time. Call sign, name, and location. WX4TOS. Standing by. Sorry about the microphone issue.
This is KQ4POG, Kilo Quebec 4, Papa Oscar Golf, Randall in Athens.
Thank you, Randall. Appreciate you checking in tonight. KQ4POG, got you checked in. Any others? All right, nothing heard? All right, thanks a lot, everybody, for checking in. We provide a lot of information tonight, and you can find it on ETSkywarn.com. I'll post an update later tonight. We also have a Discord server. You can go to the website there to find the link to that. And if for some reason you have trouble getting on to that, you can send me an email. I'm good in the call book. And hopefully we don't have any more outbreaks like that for another generation, or two, or three. So anyway, with that, I want to thank everyone for checking in. We hold this net the first Sunday of every month. Next scheduled net will be on June 1st. And I'm sure we'll be hearing some stories from Dayton, and we'll be looking forward to Field Day. And whatever excitement comes in between, I'm sure we'll be discussing that too. So for now, this is WX4TYS, closing down the East Tennessee SKYWARN Training Net at 9:02 p.m. local time. Our thanks to Tim Berry, WB4GBI, for the use of the repeater. And we are now returning the repeater to normal use. This is K4HSM. Thanks, everybody.
WB4GBI repeater.
All right.
Good night, Greg. There's Tim checking in. He sent his robotic I guess, to proxy him in. Good net. I confirm 16 check-ins.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, Roger. Sounds good to me. And yeah, I'll put an update on the net tonight. So hopefully the live stream looked a little more professional than I've had in the past. So anyway, thanks again, everybody. I'm gonna go get me some chicken wings. Late dinner tonight. K4HSM.
Stream like good. 7-3s, everybody. Thanks for participating. A4WX.
Guys did a fantastic job. 7-3 tonight. KG4QWI.
Got you in there, KZ4WTF.
Y'all have a good night. And enjoy the rest of your week. WPRD.
All right. Before I leave, just once again say, if you haven't read this book, it's a great story, or it's a great book to read. To find some of the stories. Some of them are truly heartbreaking. I was reading this I read this on the plane to Calgary last year while while Helene was dumping all that water, all that rain, all that moisture to the folks in western North Carolina and upper East Tennessee. So I did read a majority of this, and it's pretty powerful. So just kind of gives you some insight into how it affects lives. Some of it's just terribly heartbreaking, and I really don't wish that on anybody. What happened to so many people that day. Unfortunately, this is a reality of living in the Southeast. It's almost like Tornado Alley out in the Midwest. It's a reality. You have these weather situations that occur, and you just got to handle it as best you can. Just be prepared. That's the big thing. You can't stop them, but you can at least try to prepare for the worst. Be able to have a plan. Get into a proper shelter if need be, and hopefully you don't have to need it, but it's good to have. I mean, something I'm planning on doing when I've got a 5-10 year plan to move to Campbell County, and we're looking at some property up there, and one of the things I want to do is put in an underground shelter, because it's not tornado prone, but it's something that's going to be nice to have in case the worst comes. So Campbell County gets a bunch of tornadoes. So anyway, with that, I'm going to go eat some chicken wings. Y'all have a great night, and we'll see you next time. I hope you like this. Give me some feedback. You can send me an email, gregk4hsm@gmail. Reach out to me, and let me know how things are going. For now, we'll sign off, and we'll see you next time. Take care.